Hey, you made it. So I just got done watching the Debunking the Biggest Drugs Myths from Metta Beshay, and I have to say, this video is trash. I'm going to start with the crack versus coke debate in which he says myth, crack cocaine is worse than regular cocaine.
Crack cocaine is worse than regular cocaine. This is probably going to blow some people's minds, but yeah, that's actually a myth. For the most part, cocaine is cocaine.
Then goes on to list absolutely no reasons as to why crack cocaine is not worse than regular cocaine, except giving you information that just doesn't add anything at all.
Meaning freebasing the cocaine doesn't make it more addictive, or more dangerous, or more potent.
Crack cocaine is worse than cocaine for the reasons you mentioned, route of administration. If you smoke something and it is faster acting, the addiction potential is higher, and surprise, surprise, it's probably worse for you because then you're more likely to get addicted, less likely to be abstinent, and more likely to then continue to use the drug, which again you mention. So I'm failing to understand what the difference between the two is when you seem to have it all spelled out and then say it's a myth when one is not worse than the other. Oh yeah, they're the same. Okay, well, that argument just doesn't work, does it? Because one is clearly worse than the other. And if you look at the study for abstinence rates after smoking versus insufflation or snorting, surprise, surprise, smoking is harder to come off and harder to abstain from using, so it's more addictive. Whenever something is faster acting, the addiction potential is usually higher. Job done. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like comparing codeine and injecting morphine. Like, yeah, the route of administration is different, but that has a massive impact. Codeine is a prodrug of morphine. Like 10% of the codeine gets converted to morphine. Is that the same as injecting morphine? Is that going to do the same for you? Absolutely not. So think about what you're saying. It's like you have everything there to disprove what it is you're trying to say. It just felt very, very annoying to see him have all the facts there and then to just say the complete opposite of what he actually is saying. Oh yeah, coke and crack are just exactly the same thing.
The steroid that's removed in the crack making process, that's not psychoactive at all. Meaning both of the cocaine and crack are both literally the exact same drug.
Whilst that is factually true, in practice, in real life, that isn't true at all, is it? The addiction potential is much, much higher. And yes, okay, there is probably a racial aspect to it and the laws that were brought out. I can't argue with that aspect, but it is not a myth that crack is worse than coke. Like, that's just stupid. You are actually an idiot if you believe that. It's just this misinformation that I just don't like. Like, know your facts and actually get it right before coming out and making these videos. The same with the whole fentanyl is evil part. Okay, there is a pretty big sort of misconception about it and you do a good job of explaining it, but why do you need to explain all of the synthetic, the semi-synthetic, why do you need all that backstory to then tell me that, oh, well, that guy's worried about fentanyl and then him saying hospital fentanyl. There is no hospital fentanyl.
And then freak out because they were given fentanyl, right?
I'll give you relaxing medicine. You got fentanyl and Versed.
Fentanyl?
Yes. It's okay. It's not the bad kind of fentanyl. It's the medicine kind of fentanyl. It's okay.
There's no such thing, by the way, as like medical fentanyl and bad fentanyl. It's all fentanyl.
That's just an outright lie, because then later in the video you say, well, the fentanyl on the streets cut with loads of different stuff.
People who use fentanyl have to worry about their fentanyl getting cut with other drugs, just like everyone else has to worry about their drugs getting cut with fentanyl.
Well, you've just spelled it out for me again. Like, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, so they're worried about fentanyl because if you are from the streets or you don't know, you're not educated about fentanyl, and you go to hospital and they give you fentanyl, you're probably going to think it's street fentanyl. It might be a naive thing to think, but it's still going to happen. And you saying, oh, there is no hospital fentanyl. There is hospital grade fentanyl. There is the hospital grade fentanyl that is made from the pharmaceutical companies that is not street fentanyl, that is cut with stuff, as you've said yourself. It just felt like yet another contradiction in your video that just doesn't make sense. I liked some of the stuff you were saying, but what the hell are you talking about? Like, it just feels like you have half the facts there and then you don't quite give the final verdict. You've just done it the wrong way around. The same with the ketamine for horse tranquilizer. You've said that's a myth.
Ketamine is a horse tranquilizer. I've heard people say this a million times.
And then in the very next sentence you say, oh yeah, well, ketamine's used for horses, isn't it?
And I think it's really scary to people that it's a horse tranquilizer because they think, oh, horses are big, so that means the tranquilizer used to get them down, that must be some strong-ass stuff. Which it is, but also ketamine is just a great tranquilizer for everyone.
Well, what are you talking about? Like, it's not a myth if you've literally just spelled it out. You said it's used in humans and it's an anesthetic and it's this and it's that. All factually correct, but the myth you are talking about has immediately been disproved at the start, or sorry, proved. You've proved it's not a myth. If something is a fact and it is used for horses, then it is not a myth, is it? So what are you actually trying to get at here? This felt like a very stupid way of saying an interesting bunch of science. You could easily have gone down the route of just talking about the stuff. You don't have to say fact or myth, you can just explain what you know, because clearly you're knowledgeable to an extent. You just don't quite know how to have that finishing touch to make it make any sense at all. Some of it is interesting, don't get me wrong, but there's just so much of it. You're just contradicting yourself completely. Trying to say these things as facts when clearly they just aren't based in fact at all is just completely idiotic from Metta, in my opinion. All of his other videos, I don't really know. Like, it's interesting perspective, but I don't think it really has a place on YouTube in that way. It feels very much like a promotion of the legal highs, legal buzzes, and I have no wonder that his channel got demonetized, as he said, because you're saying, oh yeah, Kratom and Kava, oh yeah, I do those all the time, but in other countries, they are actually illegal. But I feel like essentially advocating for the use of it and saying, I use it and it's fine, people who are interested in trying these things then have a reference point and they can then go and do those and then sort of follow in your footsteps and try it. And especially in the UK where it's banned, like, I don't really understand what you're going for here. And the way you were talking about DMT, where clearly you've done DMT yourself, again, it just seems like you're advocating for people doing it. It seems like you're like, oh yeah, well, if you were to do this, it's like this, this, and this. Which, yes, people have these experiences, but I feel like, again, coming from a big YouTuber, somebody that has big influence, it's not something you want to talk about. It's not something you want to openly admit that you do, because you have a reputation. You have people that watch you every day and that see you, and that are impressionable people. So I feel like it's a bit of a poor route to go down. I know he says in the videos, yeah, don't follow this and don't do this and whatever, but seeing someone do something and have a good time on it is always going to have that knock-on effect of having someone that wants to do it because they saw you do it. Am I saying we should cancel him for this? No, but I think this specific video on the debunking of the drug myths needed to be researched better. You bring up the clinical papers and everything like that, okay, but then stop contradicting yourself. Saying that crack is the same as coke is just a massive oversimplification of something, and then you go on to say it yourself, so I just don't understand. I feel like you've used this video as an excuse to talk about things you're passionate about while sprinkling in random myths you've just kind of made up. I don't know, I just needed to make this video because, especially the crack versus coke thing, it just really annoyed me. It felt like somebody that you've watched who is relatively interested and seems to know their stuff to an extent and is passionate enough is just spreading essentially a misinformation, spreading a fact that isn't true. If something is based in fact, it is not a myth. So I think you need to look up the definition of myth before you go saying it everywhere. The same with the fentanyl is evil thing. Of course, people are going to think that fentanyl is bad because of the dose difference, because of the increased onset of action. Like, it just doesn't make sense what it is you're trying to say. Like, okay, yeah, it is a myth fentanyl is evil. I mean, fentanyl can be used in great capacity for people in hospital, people that struggle with massive pain. Yes, it is a very good and very effective drug. But why do you need to explain all that information in order to just say it's synthetic and that's why, and it's cut in the street and that's why people are scared of it and that's why it's evil? You didn't need to explain any of the rest of it, so. Anyway, this has been a bit of a rant of that Metta Beshay video. He'll probably never see this, and I'll get a bunch of comments from you guys saying, oh, well, he actually didn't say that, even though he definitely did. And I'm going to include the clips this time because I'm sick of not doing that and then people not getting the context of what I'm saying. So, yeah. If you made it this far in the video, please make sure you subscribe. It really helped the channel out. And with that, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.